Hello writers, this is Ian with Writing Launch and welcome back to our workshop. This is day 2 and today I'm going to be talking about pitching. If you have any interest at all in pitching publications like magazines or blogs or anything like that, this is going to be an essential lesson for you. I'm going to go over what makes a pitch successful and provide you with a pitch template that you can use to start pitching and get your feet wet and get some experience under your belt. So without any further ado, let's get started. All right, today I want to briefly go over the road-tested pitch template. When it comes to pitching, I think one of the best ways to get your feet wet and to start building confidence and experience is to just start. When it comes to pitching, just doing it is the most important thing. I didn't learn anything about pitching until I started doing it, and I kept doing it, and I kept doing it for months and months and years. And a few years in, I really got a grasp on what I was doing well and what I was doing not so well. And so I was able to refine my template, my pitch template, and that's what I'm going to be sharing with you today so that you can go ahead and get started. Now, there are some notes on here. You can just read through these really quickly. Some notes that I have are just to make sure to customize this because I'll give you a sneak peek at it. There's a lot of kind of fill in the blanks here, but I hope you just don't fill in the blanks just to make sure that it's in your own voice as it says here. And you'll notice it's short. That's important. Keep it short. And like I said, even though this is short and to the point, you want to change it up to fit your voice, and that will require some experimentation, so feel free to experiment with it a bit. And one last note is that when it comes to the writer's guidelines, you want to read them thoroughly and carefully. So if they want a specific 500 by 500 photo of you, that's what you want to send. You want to follow them to the letter. So here's the pitch template. I'll just put that in the screen here. And this is really short. It's probably a lot shorter than the pitches that you've encountered. And I should note that this pitch is only for pitching to publications. This is not a good template for pitching to clients. With that, I feel that it's a little bit better to just approach it by yourself. Just come up with something that you think is good and then tweak it, because I think when it comes to publications, there's a lot more there's a lot more rigor involved, I guess you could say. When it comes to clients, that's such a case-by-case thing that, it can vary depending on the type of client and just even their attitude and the way that they talk. But with publications, I think it's definitely better to have a more structured approach. So if you want to pitch to clients, try that out, give it a go. And if you want to pitch to publications, feel free to use this as a starting point. So I'll just read through it real quick and kind of point out the different elements of it. So it says, hi, and this is where you'd put the name of editor in. I have an article idea that I know your readers will love, and I'd be honored if you consider it for publication. My word count, so you'd put let's say 500 word article there, and then you put the name of the article, talk about what it will discuss, and then talk a little bit more about your subject. And I know that's a little open-ended, but I'll talk more about that, and I'll show you an example in just a minute. And you put a little bio about you if you want, maybe a sentence long, and you end by saying, I can have the article ready by this date. Does that sound good to you? Now, there's a lot going on here despite its brevity. So you'll notice, like I said, again, it's short. That's important. As I said in the intro of this pitch template, editors don't have time to dilly-dally. They need short, sweet, and to the point. And that's exactly what this is. So that's really important because you don't want to make a busy editor, read through, 300, 500 words of a pitch. That's just far too much. So then, it gets right to the point. You'll notice in this second little paragraph here, it's already going into the article and talking about it. The bio section should just be really maybe one line. And then I like this ending because it shows that you're ready to take action, and then it creates a question. And the reason I like asking a question in the end of the pitch is that it gives the editor a prompt to respond to. If you just end by saying you can have it ready whenever and then I hope you'll consider me or something like that, it's not as engaging as a question is, because as humans, when we get asked questions, we naturally want to respond. So that's a good little hack, if you will, to use in your pitch. So let's take a look at an example pitch. And I'm sorry this is broken up a little bit. But just take a minute to read through this, and you'll see how I took that bare bones template and turned it into something that's a little more full, a little more robust. And you can take some liberties here. You can rewrite it a little bit, but notice how it's short and to the point, and it talks about value, and that's something I emphasized yesterday. Was talking about value and about problem solving. So it talks about I know your readers will love it, which is part of the template, of course. It will discuss how writers can find high-paying opportunities for grant writing. Going to share directories to go into detail on how to apply. And this is all very specific stuff. It's short, but it's specific, and it tells the editor exactly what the readers are going to get out of it. And then I just say a little about me, and then ending by just the stock "Does it sound good to you?" Template. So this is actually not really that different from this template. It's just a little bit different, and of course that's because I wrote the template, so I didn't really have to change it a lot to make it fit my voice. But already you can see how this is turned into a really good, really solid pitch, and it's value driven. It talks about what writers will be able to do with it. If you wanted to add a little section saying like when your readers finish this article, they'll be able to A, B, and C. Adding a section like that would be fine. But I really wanted to share this with you today because I think there are a lot of misconceptions that writers have, especially beginner writers, when it comes to pitching. And I've seen so many pitches that are super long. I mean, some are almost as long as the articles that they're pitching. And just from my experience, I know how busy editors are. I know what types of pitches work and what's worked for me. And if you go on our YouTube channel, you'll see a bunch of examples about how pitches that I've sent in. There are case studies in the Paid Publishing Guidebook about pitching. There's some information about pitching in there. And I just wanted to kind of bust some myths about pitching, namely that it's this super difficult thing and that it has to be this really involved, long-form thing. When it comes to pitches, you do want to be short. And again, like I said in the beginning, you just want to start. You just want to get out there and pitch. I know it's a little nerve-wracking, but the sooner you do it, the sooner you'll gain confidence in it. And, I wouldn't have been able to share this with you today if I hadn't tried and failed a lot. And with this pitch template, you will not fail nearly as much as I did. So I hope this has been helpful for you. Be sure to ask me any questions that you have in the Q&A. But I wanted to share this, and I hope it helps you. Feel free to use this out. Try it. The worst that can happen is you get a no, and then you can learn from that no. I think it's important to be able to learn from your successes and your failures. So if you fail, just think about what you could have improved upon. Think about where the holes might be in your approach. So that's going to be it for today. And of course, be sure to stick around tomorrow for the discussion about long-term career building. But yeah, in terms of pitching, if you're aiming to pitch to publications and get published, this is definitely a great start. So that's the basics of how to pitch. If you have any questions on this, please let me know. I hope the pitch template helps you. And tomorrow, make sure you come back for day 3, where Jacob's going to be talking about building a long-term career, because everything that we've talked about so far is great, but it's a little more short-term, and you need to be able to think long-term if you really want to take this from just a side gig to a career. So I hope that you'll get a lot out of the lesson tomorrow, and thank you for watching.